Assalamu alaikum, you guys. I'm just popping in here on a voiceover to let you guys know that the sound quality of the video is not the best. I don't know what ended up happening while I was recording, but I really do think that this is a very important topic, and that's why I decided to post the video either way. I hope that you guys enjoy it, watch it all the way through, drop your comments, and if you like the video, then please give a like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much, and here we go. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Henna. I am a trauma coach, physician associate, and this is my YouTube channel. It is all about self-improvement, my self-improvement journey, and helping other Muslims on their self-improvement journey. I'm making this video because I actually made an Instagram reel and TikTok video on this topic, and it ended up being one of my most viewed and interacted with videos. And so I figured that I would create a longer form version of this to give you guys some more detail, inshallah. By the way, if you're not following me on Instagram or on TikTok, then my handles are below. I try to post pretty frequently, almost every single day, on the platforms. Toxic friends are like a poison that kills slowly, and the damage that can be done by a toxic friend is truly immeasurable. We now know that socially, the influence that friends have on one another is one of the greatest influences that can be present in a person's life. This never used to be the case in the past. In the past, we lived in communal cultures. The influence was spread, and it was mainly the family and community that had an influence on your upbringing. We used to be raised by our parents and our uncles and aunts and our neighbors, and now people are being raised by their friends. The Quran and the Hadith talk about the importance of friendship, and I'm sure if you've watched really any lecture about friendship, you're probably familiar with this verse in this Hadith, but I felt it was prudent to reiterate because sometimes we forget, we get lost in the day-to-day, we get surrounded by people maybe we didn't expect to be surrounded with. It's always good to have the reminder. But the Prophet ﷺ told us, it gave a very interesting parable or comparison when it came to talking about friends. And he said something that was really interesting. He compared friends to a smith shop, or like a blacksmith or steelsmith, versus a perfume shop. And what he meant by that is he essentially said that when you enter into a blacksmith's workshop or a steelsmith's workshop, even if you don't end up purchasing anything, what ends up happening is you leave covered in the ash of what they were working with. But on the opposite end, when you go into a perfume shop, even if you don't end up buying anything, you leave smelling like perfume. You leave smelling good. The Prophet ﷺ was making a comparison to friendship, essentially the impact that friends have on us. Sometimes we don't even realize it, but they rub off on us. The Arab saying or Arab saying, for those of you guys who might not be familiar, is al-sahib sahib, meaning the companion or the friend pulls you. You're one of those people who has toxic friends in their life, or maybe it's not a friend, but it's a family member who you have to spend a lot of time with. Here are my 3 tips for dealing with that situation. First and foremost, this is my biggest tip whenever anyone asks me about, hey, how do I find better friends? Make dua, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for better friends. Here's the thing about dua. For some reason, we don't think about dua as an action in and of itself. It is one of the most prudent actions you can take. It is one of the most powerful actions you can take. It is not just a whisper of the heart. It is actually doing something because you are essentially consulting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and asking him to intervene in the situation. That is an action to surround you with good companionship, with good friendship. Because the thing about it is that given the fact that, I forgot to mention the verse, sorry guys. Given that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stresses in the Quran the importance of friendship, and he actually mentions that on the day of judgment, there will be people who will literally say, woe to me, I wish I never took so-and-so as a friend. On the day of judgment, they will have immense regret for the people they surrounded themselves with. Because that's such a real thing, do you not think that if you make dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala isn't going to deliver you through that dua? Do you not think he's going to bring good people into your life who are going to be a good influence on you? Of course he is. I actually had my own personal experience with this, where in high school I didn't feel like I had the most support system or people that were fully bringing me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when I made that dua, the dua got answered in undergrad, where I met some of the most amazing people who pulled me so much closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My second piece of advice is really assess the situation. The thing about friends, really the purpose of friendship from an Islamic point of view, is that these are individuals who should remind you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They should help you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are some friends that are just neutral. They're not pulling you towards, but they're not necessarily pushing you away either. And then there are friends on the complete end of the spectrum where they are doing things that are actively pulling you away from deen. And by doing that, they're essentially putting your akhirah in jeopardy. Why would you allow yourself to be surrounded by the type of people that are willing to put your Jannah at risk? So assess the situation, and on that level, you figure out, do I have a friend who is close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and brings me closer to him? Do I have someone who's neutral? Or do I have someone who's pulling me away? And actively, when I say toxic friend, a lot of times people think about more so like emotionally toxic, but I'm actually talking about a bad friend, because when I think toxic, I think about slow poison. Something that is toxic can, at its worst, kill you, and at its best, make you very, very sick. But I think this applies to friends who are emotionally toxic too. Emotionally or verbally abusive, who gaslight you, who make you feel less than so that they can feel more. If that's a friend that you have, well, it's not even really a friend, but if that's a friend that you have, this advice applies here. You have two options between your escape plan when you're assessing to figure out, do I want to exit this friendship? Number one is the slow escape. The slow escape is you start distancing. You check up on them less, you take longer to reply to their texts, you don't go out with them as much, you place barriers between one another. Now, the other option is hard and fast, which means that you completely cut them off. And I would recommend in that situation, if you're going to do it like that, you give an explanation. My final piece of advice is for anyone who still wants to maintain that friendship. Maybe you just care very deeply about them and you want them to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you feel like by abandoning that relationship, you're actually making it easier for them to stray because they don't have you. In that case, it's going to be very important to establish boundaries. Boundaries is like a really popular word when it comes to self-improvement, and that's because no matter what stage of life you're in, boundaries are essentially a way to set standards of interaction so that the relationship is either fruitful or is less damaging. And this is actually a way to maintain relationships, because the alternative to setting boundaries is a complete cutoff. Setting boundaries with a toxic friend can look a lot of different ways, and I don't know your situation. I don't know personally what's going on with you, but one thing is just having a frank conversation. Maybe you're able to be super straightforward with them, or maybe you have to sugarcoat things a lot. Maybe you say something like, trying to work on my deen, and it's really, really important to me that I really need you to stop it. I don't know what is going to work in your situation, but you'd be surprised. There are some people who are actually very emotionally mature, who are able to handle and respect the second part, especially if you guys have been good friends for a long time. I avoid this. Would you be willing to just be mindful about it when you're around me? Or, hey, I noticed you do this and I really don't like it, and I feel like it's rubbing off on me or negatively impacting me. Once you've established boundaries, you've actually limited the impact or the negative impact brought to you by their interactions. And the hope is that with time, the relationship gets better. Or maybe, again, on their side, maybe they'll decide to be the ones to do the cutoff and the slow escape versus a hard and fast escape. Either way, the first piece of advice would apply here too, which is continue to make dua for them. Make dua for their guidance, make dua for a change in their heart. You never know if your dua is going to be the reason that they make the turnaround and come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's all that I got for you for this video, you guys. If you like this kind of content, then please subscribe for more. If you have any specific topics about self-improvement that you would like me to make videos on, please comment them below. I really want this page to be a community, and to build a community, we need to be able to foster conversation and discussion. Leave comments below, have a conversation with one another. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Assalamu alaikum.